Hello there. Welcome to my show, COVID-19 update by Heerak. Yes, it's 4-month anniversary of this wonderful show, COVID-19 update by Heerak. So give me a five. Give me a five. Yeah. Welcome to my show. It's been 4 months since this show's been running. So it's running every day. So 4 months times average of 30, 120 days worth of COVID-19 update by Heerak. You gotta catch up on all the shows. If this is your first time watching this show, just watch it from the beginning, from April 2nd to now. And you'll learn so much about COVID. And it's almost like a video documentary, right? Describing what's happening in America every day. I mean, it's like history. I mean, you go back from April 2nd to now, you watch every episode, you see exactly what's going on in America. you know? I mean, you're lucky that I created this show. You might have forgotten what it was like in April 2nd, but you can always go back and watch my show, and then you're like, oh, yeah, that's how it was. Yeah, so welcome to my show. Happy anniversary to me and my show. 4 month anniversary, yay! 4 months anniversary, yay! It's time to celebrate. Harry's very happy, and Ducky's very happy, as you can see. I don't know, does Ducky look happy? Ducky looks a little bit sad. Um, Leo looks happy. And even Cesar looks happy. Cesar! Cesar! Yeah. 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 It's good times. Good times. It's good times because you have the show to keep you company. Uh, all 330 million Americans can watch this show and feel like they are in this together with Heerak and Kim, independent candidate for U.S. Congress in Virginia's 8th District. So yeah, and obviously the show is available throughout the world, and our fans all over the world. And I'm trying to help you get to know more about COVID, because to know is to survive, right? To know, you have to know to survive. I mean, there are accidental tourists who survive, but knowledge is power after all. So to know is better than not to know, right? Although ignorance is bliss. If I marry like a beautiful woman, like one of them who looks like that, you know, um, yeah, I hope she doesn't tell me anything about her former serious boyfriends. Yeah, who wants to know all that stuff? Geez, for God's sake. Sometimes women yap away. They feel the need to unload their like ex-boyfriends on you. And you're like, my gosh, man, that's just you know. Um, yeah, but anyway,
Get back to your original
yeah,
color, whatever your shade. Trust just for men. Now with a new look. Still five.
yeah. Sometimes you just have to get that new look, you know. But yeah, so I had my new look for today's show. Um, so so yeah, it's a beautiful thing, when you can get a new look, that's a good thing. So some people are probably hurting because they can't, they haven't been able to get to the hairdressers and have a new look. I mean, I have the same look. I look like that, in reality, you see me right there, 2020 elections. Vote for me on November 3rd, 2020 for U.S. Congress in Virginia's 8th District. It's Arlington, Alexandria, Falls Church, and parts of Fairfax County. Um, yeah, yeah, it's a lot of Americans are hurting. I mean, it's true. I mean, let's face it, everybody's kind of hurting, but you gotta kind of keep a stiff upper lip, as the British people say, or is that what Americans say about British people? But anyway, you gotta be just kind of kind of roll with the reality, right? COVID-19 is here to stay. It's not gonna go away. World Health Organization says it's forever, uh, and nobody knows whether that's true or not. And so as far as you know, it's here forever. So it's like assume that it's here forever. If things change, great, but just assume that it's here forever and adjust your life so you can survive. And so I'm here, Heerak Kim, independent candidate for U.S. Congress of Virginia's 8th District, to give you a dose of reality so that you can survive COVID-19, but interspersed with happiness and joy, and so you can kind of look at your life and your future uh, in a lighthearted way. Yes, it's horrible. Yes, this is not going to go away. Yes, this is a permanent condition, but you know, um, what can you do, right? Life is what it is, and we have a lot of people dying, like 1,000 dying per day, and the number is bound to increase. Um, yeah, and things are going to get worse during the flu season. But these are the realities we have. But you have to still, be positive about your life, right? Don't be positive lying to yourself, because truth shall set you free. So you need to be aware of the truth and reality. You need to talk about it, but you don't have to be like gloomy and depressed about it. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. Um, yeah. So it's horrible. No, I'm not gonna lie to you. It's horrible what's going on. COVID-19 is horrible. Um, yeah, and it's just gonna get worse. It's not gonna get better. I wish I could tell you it's gonna get better, but then I'll be lying to you. It's only gonna get worse. Um, yeah, that's the reality we live in. What can you do, right? It's the reality. You just have to live in the real world. Just to recap, if you remember in March, a lot of freshmen had to go back home, and they were crying and putting up all these videos saying, RIP freshman year. And that's not Rensselaer, Polytechnic Institute, spelled wrong way. Um, it's an engineering school in New York, Albany area, RPI. But let's rest in peace, right? Freshman year. So bye bye college, and so freshman year we're crying, but at least they had like September, October, November, December, January, February. Now the freshmen this year, they don't even get to come to campus, like Georgetown, none of the first year students are coming because it's too dangerous for them to come. Really, they're going to come and die of COVID during the flu season. A lot of them. And Georgetown University made the right decision not to bring students on campus. Um, but having said that, it's sad that they're missing their college freshman year. But COVID-19 year here is here to stay. So one comfort that they could derive is misery one's company. Uh, they could expect that next year freshmen will not be able to go on campus either. So at least they know that this condition is here for a long time, unless they develop a vaccine. But the chances that you're going to have a working vaccine, it's like winning the lottery. Chance or more difficult than that. Chance that you have a lottery vaccine that works is like 1 in a billion. Yeah, Heerak Kim, independent candidate for U.S. Congress of Virginia's 8th District. That's who I am. I'm predicting that we will not have a single working vaccine. That's my theory. That's my prediction. But let's see if I'm correct or not. I hope that we'll have like more than one working vaccine, kind of like Alexander Graham Bell. Several people came up with the phone, but Alexander Graham Bell beat others to it. Hopefully it's like that, but I don't think it's like that, because creating a phone is kind of easier compared to like creating a vaccine. We don't have a vaccine for HIV. We don't have a vaccine for common cold. We don't have a vaccine for hepatitis C virus. We don't have a vaccine for like herpes. I mean, we don't have vaccine for so many things, So why do you think we have a vaccine for this? I mean, develop in like few months. I mean, just it's unrealistic. As I said, if it happens, great. Try hard to do it, but I think the probability of that happening mathematically is very low. That's what I'm saying. But so in March we had the rest in peace freshman year, but everybody went home basically. That probably saved a lot of lives. The fact that college students were sent home. If they were on campus like in April, a lot of people would have died. Um, and then we had the graduation ceremony. In May. Commencement was like drive-through for some. For Georgetown, it was like 100% online. They say we'll have like a physical graduation in August, but obviously not. That's impossible. I mean, the campus is basically closed. It's 100% online learning. Um, Harvard announced in July that they're going to go 100% online in fall, and it's the right decision. And Georgetown recently announced that they're going to go 100% online. It's the right decision. That's the way that we save lives. Yeah, I mean, you will see like college campuses that open up, they're going to have outbreaks here and there. They'll eventually have to close down. And it's going to cost them more. People may die. A lot of people may die if they don't close down early enough. So colleges that are opening are looking at serious tragedy. So yeah, it's basically COVID State U. Every university has become like COVID State University. Yeah, so let's look at what's been happening, the trends. On April 2nd, we have 5,911 deaths. Those are the good old days. Now we have that much like in 5 days. And 1 month later, we have 66,364 deaths. So that's like over 60,000 died in 1 month. So that's pretty bad. Part of it is because we didn't know what the heck this thing was, and hospitals were making all kinds of mistakes. So people are dying, some of them because of the mistakes. We just did not know much about COVID. From May to June, we had about 40,000. So it decreased by like 20,000. So it was kind of looking up, and we're like, yeah, now we could start opening up. So a lot of, people start opening up around that time, right? July 2nd, it was still kind of decreasing, only 20,000 died. So it's been decreasing like by 20,000, right? Every month. And then now, COVID-19 cases are spiking and deaths are going up. So from July 2nd to August 2nd, we had close to 30,000 deaths. So now our death is climbing. So, we're going up like 10,000. So by September 2nd, we're not sure what's going to happen. I mean, I may revise my theory. My prediction was that 1 million people would die by end of August. It could still happen. It may not happen. We'll see. One of the positive things is, places close down. Some, schools decide not to go physical campus, like DCPS, District of Columbia Public Schools, decided not to open up. Colleges decided to close. Cities are closing down, and so in maybe reducing the death. So yeah, but we'll see. I mean, I don't want to revise my numbers yet because we have 1 month. A lot could happen in 1 month. Obviously, I hope nobody dies, but some people are going to die, and I think it's still possible that 1 million people die. I mean, yeah, there's still a possibility because we have 50 states and we have a lot of cases in every state. In some states, like 10,000 cases per day. And some hospitals have already hit critical mass. So you could have an exponential growth. Let's see. Hopefully, we won't have many deaths. But we don't know. So so tune in for September 2nd show to see what has happened in 1 month. We're charting uncharted waters right now. You know, in April 2nd, we're having like 20,000 cases to 30,000. Now we're having like 60 to 80,000 cases. So we don't know how that will turn out. We don't know what all of this means. You know, second peak death have started just like a couple weeks ago. So it's like increasing. We just don't know exactly what's going to happen. Yeah, so yeah, jury is still out on that. United States COVID cases have been going up exponentially. You can see on April 2nd, 244,678. It went up to 1,127,712 on May 2nd. June 2nd, it went up to 1,831,730. And then it went up to 2,735,339 on July 2nd. So, you know, it's kind of an exponential growth, right? From May, you know, April to May, you have around, 800,000 going up. And then the cases actually dropped from May to June because everybody was at stay at home. You know, everything was on lockdown. So it dropped to like 600,000. Um, and then, you know, things opened up and they went spiking high to 900,000, right? So, and then in the last 1 month, we had like 2 million new cases. So which is bad because they're eventually going to end up in death. And that's why I'm still not going to revise my figures because I think 1 million people can still die by end of August. Just look at the numbers. We don't know what's going to happen this month of August. You know, horrible things could happen. Hopefully not, but it could. World cases have been going up as well significantly. So world cases were at 1,014,673 on April 2nd. On May 2nd, it went to 3,421,834. So, you know, over 2,300,000 went up. And then on June 2nd, we had 6,376,822. So it went up around, you know, 3 million. So it's kind of exponential growth as well. And then July 2nd, it went up to 10,835,092. So it went up like 4 million. So it's, you know, exponentially growing. And August 2nd is 18,2,567. So like almost like 7 million people. So it's exponentially growing. Obviously, that should be disturbing to you because flu season is coming in a few weeks. And I'm anticipating that 1 million people will die per month in America during flu season. I think that's still possible. Because, you know, colleges are opening. So you will see what I mean. Once the college is open and college students go to college, you will see an exponential growth of COVID-19. Because think about this, college students go, they may wear a mask, they may not. They may wear a mask when the teacher's looking, but when the teacher's not looking, they're not going to wear a mask. You know, because when you're like 16 to 20, 22, you think you're invincible. You know, you do all kind of risky stuff. So you're not going to be wearing a mask, you know, to prevent COVID when you're 16 to 20, you're like 25, you know, or 22. Certainly not. So every college campus, you're going to anticipate at least 60% of the students not wearing masks, really, especially when they're around each other. That's what you have to expect. Maybe it could be higher than that. They may wear a mask for a week or two. After 1 or 2 weeks, they're not going to wear a mask, you know? So after 2 weeks, you're going to have like 60 to 80% or more not wearing masks. And obviously, we don't know what the incubation period is and prodromal period is in terms of infection. It may be like, it may take like more than 14 days to show the signs. And you may not show the signs, but you are a carrier, you could spread it. So these college students are not just on campus, right? Right? They're going to move around. They're going to have parties, and they're going to go to different places around them. In which case, they may have it or they may be a carrier. They're going to spread it to local people because you have the gownies and the townies, right? The gownies are like students. They're going to spread it to townies. So let's say Virginia, Commonwealth University is open. Students will come from like California, Florida, Texas, and then they're going to go to shops and places nearby, restaurants, and it's going to start spreading. And nobody's going to really know because you have the incubation period and the prodromal period. So people are getting it, and then it's going to hit like about a month later. You're going to start seeing signs, cases, and then it's going to keep increasing from there. And then, flu season will hit. And by that time, it's too late. So that's what you're looking at, like in college town areas. Every college town should expect a serious outbreak and exponential growth. A lot of people are going to die. And that's something that you just have to expect because this is a global pandemic. I am worried about the Republican convention in Charlottesville or Charlotte, North Carolina. I think a lot of people will get COVID and many will die. And that's my prediction. Like people who go to, GOP Republican convention in Charlotte, I think many will get it and they're going to die. And the message that I think God sent was, Mr. Herman Cain, he went to a rally without a mask and he caught COVID and he died. He was a healthy person, very fit. He could have probably lived at least 20 to 30 more years. Because you could live till 100, a lot of people do. So I think what you're going to see is like after the Republican convention in Charlotte, you're going to have a lot of people dying. A lot of people getting it, a lot of people dying. We're not sure how that's going to reorient the history of the United States of America yet, because it hasn't happened yet. So, we can anticipate one of several things happening. Let's say 100 people from GOP convention die. And they just happen to be like just fans who come like delegates. We're not really politicians. Then there will be minimal interruption to US history. Because, yes, everyone's important, but they're not like policymakers, they're not politicians. So their death, obviously is important to their loved ones, but in terms of national history, it doesn't impact much. The worst case scenario is after the, Republican convention, President Trump gets COVID and dies. That is the worst case scenario that could happen. I'm hoping not because I like President Trump. As long as he opposes LGBTQ rights, I'm voting for him. But that could happen. So that's something that I think we need to worry about. If there's any LGBTQ personnel speaking at the national convention, GOP convention, you may expect that to happen because God has anger management problems, as you know. And I've talked about this many times. If you read the Bible from Genesis to Revelations, one thing for sure is that God has anger management problem. Meaning when people sin, God gets angry and just like kills them. That's what God does. Like, let me give you an exhibit A. Exhibit A is when Israelites created they did golden calf. They had a golden calf when Moses went up to get the 10 Commandments, right? And when Moses came down, he had a temper too. He had an anger management problem. He threw down the two stones where God inscribed the 10 Commandments. And God killed the golden calf worshippers. There was no forgiveness. Yeah, that's what God does. Even if God forgives you for your sin and sends you to heaven, he will kill, he could kill you for your sin. So just because God forgives you for your sin doesn't mean you're not going to die on earth. When God forgives you for your sins, you go to eternal life in heaven, but God may still kill you on earth as a punishment for your sin. So don't think like, oh yeah, I'm born again and God forgave me my sins, so I'm not going to die. No, it just means you're not going to go to hell. You can still die on earth, you know. So, so if there's any kind of pro-LGBTQ thing at all, like an LGBTQ person speaking at the National Convention, GOP, you should not be surprised that President Trump dies of COVID. I would say because God has anger management issues, and God could take the anger out on President Trump. So, yeah, I mean, the most important thing for President Trump, if he doesn't want to experience anger, wrath of God, is make sure no LGBTQ person speaks at Republican National Convention. That's like, if you don't want to die, I mean, that just goes without saying, because we have Romans chapter 1 in the New Testament, in the age of grace, where God promises wrath of God for homosexuality. That's in New Testament, in the age of grace, New Testament, where God promises wrath of God for homosexuality. So, and that goes for President Trump and Vice President Pence. God may be like, well, President Trump did ban the transgender in the military. I am pissed. This is what God may be thinking. I'm paraphrasing. But he's like, well, maybe I won't strike President Trump down, but maybe I'll strike Vice President Pence down, because God, God may say that. I'm speaking in the situation of God who has anger management issue. I'm just saying, if you give any kind of honor to LGBTQ in the Republican National Convention, you should expect tragedy of horrific proportions. And God doesn't disappoint when it comes to that, because he has anger management issues. Just read through the Bible and look at what God does out of anger. So, yeah. So, I mean, for Vice President Pence and President Trump, priority number one is to make sure no LGBTQ says anything or has any place of honor in the Republican Convention in Charlotte. Yeah. If you don't, I don't know what's going to happen. I'm afraid of what's going to happen. Yeah. And Vice President Pence could have 8 years of presidency after the next 4 years, but he's not going to have that if he gets stricken down by COVID-19, because there were some gay people speaking at the Republican Convention, and God gets upset and he just takes out his anger. God has anger management problems. So, yeah, I mean, just read the Bible and see how much of an anger management problem God has. And it would be so sad, because Vice President Pence is bound to be president for 8 years after 4 years later, if he's alive, right? But obviously you can't be president if you die of COVID. Yeah. I personally think that Republican National Convention should be like online. It's better to be safe than sorry. Why die of COVID before the election? I mean, look at me. I'm running for U.S. Congress in Virginia's 8th district, and I'm like basically stay at home voluntarily, except for like when I walk around and get some exercise or go buy food or do something that's necessary. I'm stay at home, because this is a global pandemic. It's killing people. It's killing like over 1,000 people per day in America. Why would I want to like venture outside? I mean, it doesn't make sense to me. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, obviously I'm going to be working as a nurse in a few days, which is, I'm excited about that. But, I mean, if you're a nurse working in a hospital, I mean, you have everything that you need to protect yourself, right? I mean, they have the best equipment, you know, and also you're like on an alert for 12 hours. So, and I mean, I'm not going to say it's 100% foolproof. I mean, nurses are the most vulnerable to get COVID, so I kind of expect to get COVID. I'll be surprised if I don't get COVID. But on the other hand, this is what I want to do. I want to help people and I want to take care of people. I don't want to get COVID just walking around outside. But if I get COVID from a hospital, it's like soldier going to the war. I mean, you don't want to be like walking around at night by yourself alone in the inner city area. You could be mugged and stabbed or killed, right? Because that's a stupid thing to do. But if you're at a war, fighting the Chinese Red Army, like in a World War III scenario, you could die being shot. That's something you have to expect as a soldier, you know? Um, you know, um, yeah, I mean, in the battlefield, things happen. So, I'm kind of like a soldier. The most dangerous job right now is being a nurse. There's nothing more dangerous than being a nurse. I'm predicting that 20% of all class of 2020 nurses would die, like in this flu season. Um, and I'm predicting that 20% of my clinical nurse leader cohort members would die before Christmas. I picked out names already. If they were in a hospital setting. And I think I would be right. I think more than 20 would die because, if you have asthma, if you are fat, there's more chance of you dying, So, yeah. So I expect a lot of people to die. So I better do a cheer because they're probably going to die. So I got to cheer them up now, 10, we're 10 and May. You may die before Christmas from COVID, but at least you were pinned in May. Yay! CNL 2020, Georgetown. Yay! Yeah, so there are 25 of us who were pinned, clinical nurse leader program in May. And I'm expecting 5 to 10 to die before Christmas from COVID-19. If all 25 of us are working at hospital, I expect like 5 to 10 to die. I know that some people said they're not going to work at the hospital because they don't want to die of COVID. I respect that. I think it's a rational decision. If you don't want to die of COVID, obviously you'd want to wait until vaccine comes out or a cure comes out before you start working as a nurse. It makes a lot of sense to me. If you don't want to die, then obviously the safest thing is not to work as a nurse, right? I mean, it's like if you want to die, if you don't want to die in a battlefield, then don't become a soldier, right? Or don't join the Marines. But if you're willing to die as a soldier, then join the Marines. You know what I mean? Or if you don't have money, and joining the U.S. Army is the only way you can have money, then you have to join the Army. Right? There's no other choice, right? Some people join the Army because they have no money. And right now, there's no jobs out there. So if you're like 18 to like 25, you're not going to get a job. COVID is going to be here for like long time. So the smart thing to do is join the Army because, there is no war. It's like time of peace. So, you just get paid sitting around an army barrack, I mean, it's safer for it to be a soldier now, a U.S. Marine, than being a nurse. Like if you're a nurse, chance you will die is very high. I mean, it's very, very high. I would say, yeah, in the next 2 years, I'm sure, there will be a lot of nurses dying, Obviously, for people who just graduate from nursing school, they're less experienced in nursing and they have less immunity to virus and bacteria because they haven't been working at a hospital long. Nurses who've been working at a hospital for a long time, they're probably safer than nurses who just started out because they've been around bacteria and viruses a long time. So they may have developed some natural immunity to viruses, and bacteria. It's like me, when I first started teaching elementary school kids, I got sick like every month, every other month. Because, these kids, elementary school kids have all kinds of viruses and infections. So, but once you get all these infections, after after you get it, you don't really, you don't get it. Like some things, once you get it, you don't get it. So you kind of, yeah, you get it, and then you suffer for like a few days, but then you're not going to get that again. Some of it you could get it again. And you start developing more immune, stronger immune system. So from what I understand, a lot of elementary school teachers, when they first start out, they start getting sick. A lot of new parents who have kids, they get sick with the first child, but second, third, fourth child, it's fine, because you went through that. So it's like that with nurses too. If you've been in the hospital setting for a long time, you've developed natural immunity to a lot of different things. They say like a lot of nurses have MRSA. Like if you test many nurses in their nose, for bacteria, they have like MRSA there. That's what I've heard. I've never been able to verify that, but that's what I've heard. It's like, those urban legends, but nurses told me that, so I figure, they're telling me based on diagnosis that they know of, but yeah, so I think the most dangerous nurses are the new nurses. I think they're the ones who are going to die in large numbers in this flu season, because now young people are getting it. And this flu season is, it's going to be bad. Young people are beginning to die. And obviously COVID-19 is mutating because it didn't really infect a lot of young people before from March to May, but now it's infecting. So COVID-19 is mutating to infect more people, and then it's going to become more deadly, for younger people. So maybe just in time for the flu season. We don't know. We don't know what's coming. But that's one of the possibilities. You could ask Dr. Fauci, he will agree. I mean, I think any expert will agree that viruses can mutate and become more dangerous. Yeah. So that's where we are, but yeah, Harvard made the right decision closing down the school. You don't go to Harvard really for the education, really. Come on, let's be honest here. Bill Gates was at Harvard, 1 year, and he quit. And he's like was the wealthiest guy in the world, right? College is overrated. You don't really learn that much in college. You go to Harvard for the name value. Oh, you have a bachelor's from Harvard, we'll give you a job. That's why you go to Harvard. You don't go to Harvard to learn, really. You can learn just as much going to like Rutgers University. It's not like Rutgers University college education is inferior to Harvard, but it doesn't have the status that Harvard has, So people try to go to Harvard because they want the status so they could get ahead, get better jobs. And people will be like, "Ooh, you went to Harvard, so let's make you a manager." That's why you go to Harvard. You don't go to Harvard because you get better education than you from your local state university. State universities are excellent. I taught at UCLA and I taught at Brown University is an Ivy League. They're excellent students in both universities. It's not like if you go to Ivy League, the students are like super duper better. It's not like that. But people go to Brown and not UCLA because they want the status. Oh, I went to Brown. I went to Ivy League. That's why they go to Brown. And obviously, you get all kinds of benefits because you went to Brown or Harvard, right? It's a status thing. It's kind of like, why do you have Gucci bag? You could just have another bag. Why do you buy Gucci bag? It's so much more expensive. It's the status thing, It gives you kind of like a status among the women. If you're a woman who has Gucci bag and, Jimmy Choo shoes, other women are like, ooh, we're not worthy, and you're like, oh, hey, I'm the alpha female because I have Gucci bag and I have Jimmy Choo shoes, So there's a status thing, and you cannot ignore it because if you're a woman, like among women, you kind of, you know, women who have like Jimmy Choo shoes and Gucci bag and expensive stuff, they kind of have the status. It's like it's a human beings are human beings, right? Um, and so it's kind of like that. You get popular just because you have Jimmy Choo's and Gucci bag. Um, so it confers certain amount of social power. That's why you buy Jimmy Choo's and Gucci bag. I mean, obviously, sometimes they do look good, but sometimes you could have a knockoff that looks just like the same. Why don't you just use a knockoff? Because yes, it looks just as good because it's exact knockoff, but your friends know that it's fake, and then your status goes down. That's why you don't use the knockoff. You see what I'm saying? So it's like what I call soft power, invisible power. Like when you buy expensive stuff, expensive clothing, expensive jewelry, it gives you soft power, and that gives you social value, and I'm not saying that's a good thing. It just is. That's just the way things are around the world, not just in America. And that's why people go to Harvard. You go to Harvard, it's so much more expensive than going to like Rutgers. And you learn the same thing. Chemistry is chemistry wherever you go. But it's because you went to Harvard, you're like, whoa. Obviously at the high research level, there could be differences, but there are Nobel Prize winning researchers at Rutgers. And it's not like, professors at Rutgers are all inferior professors. Some professors at Rutgers are far superior researchers than professors at Harvard. It's just a fact. But there's the status thing, with Harvard that comes with like years of producing a lot of excellent scholars. So there may be like 20% of Harvard professors are excellent, but 80% ride the coattail of the 20% who are excellent. It's a status thing. Like an ugly woman, if she has Jimmy Choo shoes and like Gucci bag, men will look. Yeah, they do. Like, if you wear all these like fashionable clothing, you do makeup, you have like, you do your hair at an expensive, hairdressers. You could be ugly, but just because you do all that, guys will look. Guys like women who smell good. Guys like women who wear nice clothing. you know, and some guys will, fall for that, because a ugly woman wearing beautiful clothing, nicely groomed, is preferred by men than beautiful woman who doesn't groom herself. For some guys. What I would do is I would do like my fair lady thing, take her and make her into like a gemstone. But I have a long-term view on things. Most men are, like they're superficial. They see and then that's all they think about. They don't have the long-term, they don't have the nurturing spirit that I do. I'm happy to nurture the woman into beautiful flower, you know, but that's me, I have that, and they sometimes call me the professor because I am. So I have that professor complex, I guess, to a certain extent in My Fair Lady, the musical. It's a great musical. Watch it if you haven't. Um, yeah, I like to take, as long as she has the foundation, she's beautiful physically, beautiful face wise, I could give her everything else. I could give her the education, I could give her direction to get the education she needs. We could go shopping together for clothing. She groom her hair, and so for me, I'm like, hey, I am happy to do all the work. It's the raw material that's important. So that's how I look at things. But I'm not a typical male. I would say 99% of the males, they don't think like that. They're like, they just want the finished product. They just want to have that burger and eat it. They don't want to cook it. They don't want to, they don't want, they just want to eat it. So, yeah, but, so yeah, and that's why, Harvard education is worth it. That's why people, want to go to Harvard, right? Confer certain status, social status. You become an it person just because you went to Harvard. Like if you go to work and you're like, oh, I went to Harvard, they're like, whoa. People like that, You become special just because you went to Harvard. And that's worth more than $49,653 per year. Even if you don't study at all, you just pay that tuition and you squeak by with a D and pass at Harvard, and you graduate with a D average at Harvard, you can get a job. Yeah. I mean, degree itself confers your value, It's life. It's kind of like, some girl who's in the cheerleading team, like a cheerleader, she may be ugly, but you're like, oh, she's a cheerleader. She's like, and guys want to date her just because she's a cheerleader. And, you look at it and like, huh, she's so ugly though. But other guys are like, yeah, but she's a cheerleader, And that's how guys are so simple. Guys are so simple. It's not even funny. Guys want to date a cheerleader. They don't care if she's ugly. And some guys care if they're ugly, but yeah, if she's thin and she has boobs, they're like, oh, she's a cheerleader. And she could slap her face with makeup, So guys are really simple-minded. Yeah, guys like status, Guys like women who are cheerleaders. Guys want to date cheerleaders. Guys want to date like, beauty, women who've won beauty pageant contests. Guys are like really simple-minded, So just because you were a cheerleader, they want to date you, or a girl who's like, Billy Joel's song, Uptown Girl, that song. Guys like uptown girls, girls who are like, they shower every day. They brush their hair so it looks nice and silky. They cut their hair, they manicure their fingers, Guys like that, Doesn't matter if the guy's a working class guy or like, like wealthy guy or poor guy. Guys like that kind of stuff, Guys like uptown girls, Guys like girls who are like kind of mighty and mighty, like, ooh, Harvard girl, Yeah. Yeah, But that's how guys are. And a smart girl who goes to Harvard, she'll leverage it to get the guy that she wants, Ooh, I'm at Harvard. I'm 21 at Harvard. I may be ugly, but I'm at Harvard. So I want to get like the best man, in the state, and you leverage that. Obviously, it's a means to an end, right? You go to Harvard because you want to get something. You want to get social status. You want to get that guy who's a billionaire, and you are at Harvard, so you have greater access to like billionaires. So a smart girl who goes to Harvard will nab a billionaire and get married, engaged before she graduates from Harvard. That's like a smart girl at Harvard. Dumb girl at Harvard is like go to Harvard, is in the library every day, doesn't groom herself, she smells, she has 4.0 GPA. That's like a dumb girl. Because, I mean, she's not going to be happy. Like what, she could hug books at night. That's a dumb girl. Smart girl is like girl who goes to Harvard, has a 2.0 GPA, but she's beautiful and she nabs that Harvard guy who gets into Harvard Law School. So like she's shopping while her husband is working his butt off at Harvard Law School, trying to make the grade. Like she's like shopping, eating lunch with her friends, getting her 8 hours sleep. And she's like the wife, when he's around, act like she's doing something. And then, well, he's like, studying all the time, right? So he does all the work. And when he graduates from Harvard Law School, he goes to a law firm and is working like a dog. And you're at home, you sign up for like Red Cross, become a chairwoman of Red Cross. You do this volunteer activity, that volunteer activity. Go to the local Republican women meetings. That's a smart woman. I mean, I've seen so many dumb women at Harvard. As I was at Harvard. You have these like 18-year-olds who come to Harvard as a valedictorian, and they think like Harvard means anything of value academically. You could get just as good of an education at Rutgers and, and become just as good of a scholar, but you cannot meet those billionaire guys at Rutgers that you can meet at Harvard. So I see so many dumb girls at Harvard. They're like 18 and they're like their priority is like getting 4.0. and going to like law school or medical school or whatever, and their biological clock is ticking, they're gonna have cellulitis, they're gonna what do you call that, cottage cheese on the legs when they're 26, 27. They don't even know the biological clock is ticking, and they're gonna be like facing a life of unhappiness, right? I see so many stupid women at Harvard. It's not even funny. Harvard, Brown, University of Pennsylvania, these women are so stupid. All they do is study in the library. You gotta get that guy, the billionaire guy, and marry him, and geez, get with the program. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to be a billionaire, but some guy who you want to be with, some guy who you think will make you happy forever. I mean, having billions of dollars is not a bad thing. It's not like billionaire guys are jerks. A lot of billionaire guys are really polite, more polite than working class guys. I mean, I come from like working class environment, and I assure you, like there are a lot of billionaire guys. Yeah, there are jerks too, but there are a lot of billionaire guys who are like really nice that you'd be very happy married to for the rest of your life. Yeah, you got to get with the program. Unfortunately, like Harvard closed down, so that option is gone for you Harvard women. Sorry. Oh well, life is life. What can you do? It was good while it lasted, right? Harvard women, the smart ones who utilize the system to become billionaires' wives. you know, I mean, how many Harvard guys, their father started a company from nothing, and they are guaranteed to be the president of their father's company when their father dies. You know how many guys are like that at Harvard? Yeah, you just have to grab one of them and marry them. You're like guaranteed for life. And yeah, you women will be happy married to a nice guy who's a billionaire. Why wouldn't you be? He's nice and he's a billionaire. So smart women know what the priorities are. And that person can be a great Christian, great personality. I assure you, there are a lot of billionaire guys who are great Christians, great personality, very considerate, very nice. That's the majority, I would say, because I hang out around with billionaires, and I know what they're like. There are jerks, yes, but majority are really nice. So smart woman knows what the priorities are, and so yeah, be a smart woman. But unfortunately, like all these benefits are gone for you women during the COVID era. So I feel for you. I feel for you. But anyhow, yeah. So yeah, the world COVID death has been climbing exponentially too. But notice one thing. This is a very important thing for you to notice, and that is in April, U.S. had 5,911 deaths to world's 52,972 deaths. So only about 10%, like 10% or 1/10 of world's death was in U.S. So if 100 people died in the world, only 5 would have died in USA. But look at the shift in May, right? U.S. death became 25% of world death. So if 100 people die, 25 would die in U.S. And U.S. has maintained that ratio by and large, right? Look at June 2nd, it's about 1 in 4. Look at July 2nd, it's about 1 in 4, right? And August 2nd is still about 1 in 4. Yeah, 25%. And that's disturbing because for 4 months, basically 25% of all COVID death happened in America. That ratio has been maintained. So if 10 million people were to die in the world from COVID, 2.5 million will be in the United States. That should worry you, that there's this constant ratio relationship. of 1 in 4 or 25% of all COVID deaths being in America. That should really, really worry you. Yeah, and yeah, so that's important thing for you to understand and remember. Um, as you know, my theory is that once about 30 million Americans die, China will invade us and will colonize America. All 50 states will be colonized by Chinese Red Army. They have like, they could have easily have 100 million foot soldiers, so they could easily colonize America with their Chinese Red Army soldiers. And my prediction is that's what's going to happen once about 30 million of us die. And I think it will happen in the next 2 to 3 years, within the 2 to 3 years. And as you see, China is building up its military. You see the stealth plane. China stole our stealth plane technology, and they built one like really quickly after they stole our plans. Probably some Chinese national working in the Department of Defense, who gave the secret to China. All you need is a plan to make it. It's like any idiot can make it if they have the plan, right? The secret plan to make the, what are the ingredients? What's the secret ingredient to your cookies? You can't make that cookie because you don't know the secret ingredient. But if somebody steals your secret ingredient, they could make a cookie that tastes just like that. Now that's what Chinese are doing. They're stealing our stuff, technology. They're building it like in a month because they have the recipe. It took us like 40 years to build a stealth plane. It takes them a month to build it because they stole the plane from us. That's why spying is like cost-effective way to build a great army, because you let everyone else do the research, you just steal their research, and voila, in like a matter of months, you have everything that they have. And it took them like 40 years and trillions of dollars in defense budget to get there. But it took you like what? Paying somebody off $1 million for a spy to steal. It's like dirt cheap. It's like pennies on the dollar. Yes, and China has stolen a lot of our stuff, and they have created an amazing army. They're upgrading all their weapons from pistol, bayonets, rifles, all the way to tanks, armored vehicles, stealth fighters. They built like stealth Navy ships now, and submarines, spaceships. Yeah, I mean, they're upgrading their military. They said, in few years, United States military will not be able to beat Chinese military because their weapons will be far superior to ours. Yeah, that's coming in like 5 to 10 years. Yeah, so I mean, that's the prediction by US military strategists, not Chinese strategists. US military experts are saying China's army will have far more advanced weapons than us in, year like 2030. Yeah, to the extent that we cannot beat them in a conventional warfare, because they would have so much more advanced weapons. That's coming. Yeah, so I mean, I actually think it's better to start a war when we can win it than when we can't win it. Like 30 years from now, Chinese weapons will be so advanced, there's like zero chance that we'll win a conventional war. And they're trying to develop Star Wars defense system to block out nuclear weapons, in which case, once they succeed, all of our nuclear weapons are useless. Yeah, that's where we're headed. Yeah. And obviously they're stealing our secrets with TikTok. Everybody who has an account with TikTok, it's going through the communist system. They're storing all your data in a hard drive, in MP3 files, I mean, yeah, that's what's going on. So they're strategically preparing for invasion of the United States. TikTok helps them, obviously. Yeah, and that's why I'm calling for banning TikTok, not selling it, because if you sell it, you still have the Trojan horse that's going to send information to the Chinese. You don't know how sophisticated their computer technology is. So you don't know, you wouldn't be able to identify some of the things that they have. Like if they created a Trojan, they cannot detect, you would not be able to detect it. That's the whole point. It's like stealth Trojan. Yeah, you don't know what kind of technology Chinese have. So you shouldn't sell TikTok. You should ban it, cut it off. And then we, United States, could create, I think we should ban any program that could potentially send information to the Chinese Red Army. Because once you grant access to your cell phone, all the information goes. Your photos, right? Because they give you, do you want to give this person access to your photos? Yes. Location? Yes. I mean, geez, for God's sake, they can track you every second. Yeah, I mean, I propose that we do not let any access to our citizens whose information can be stored in Chinese Red Army hard drive. So I think U.S. Congress and U.S. Senate need to pass a law to forbid that. Obviously, U.S. Senate and Congress, they're kind of lazy. They're like 10 years behind, China. That's why we're suffering from COVID. As you know, I'm saying COVID-19 is a biological weapon created by China. I mean, there's nobody dying in China right now. Nobody. Just in America, we're dying. This is a biological weapon. So I blame, Department of Defense, National Security Agency, the CIA for their incompetency. We have become strategically inferior to Chinese, and we're suffering by Chinese biological weapon. And I know it's a biological weapon because all of us are dying. We're dying in large numbers. No one's dying in China. That's why it's a biological weapon. That's how you know. If this were really a natural virus, then everybody should be dying everywhere, proportionally. How come no one's dying in China and all of us are dying here? It's because it's a biological weapon. So that's my theory, but I feel like I'm right. Do you think I'm wrong? Why is there nobody dying in China? Give me an explanation if you think I'm wrong. Yeah, I mean, geez, I don't think American senators and congressmen in Republican and Democratic Party know what they're doing. That's why we're going to be invaded by Chinese and occupied, because they don't know what they're doing. They're not defending us, citizens, from Chinese incursion into our privacy. They should be protecting our data, our privacy, but they're not doing that. So that's why I'm running for U.S. Congress in Virginia's 8th District, because I'm needed in U.S. Congress to protect your safety against the Chinese Red Army, communist Red Army. It's one thing to talk to death about socialism. It's another thing to actually do things to block communist advance in the world. I see all these people talking to death about Chinese socialism. Blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah. What good is all that talk? We got hit by COVID, haven't we? Right? Chinese biological weapons of destruction. We're all dying here. We're closing everything down here. China has to close nothing. And they're working normally, living normally in China. Only we're suffering. Chinese are not suffering because it's a biological weapon targeting us. And all I see in the tweet is people like complaining about socialism but doing nothing about it. I mean, we can't even ban TikTok outright. I mean, what the hey? What the hey? That's how dysfunctional Washington swamp has become. All they do is talk. Talk, talk, talk. Talk, talk, talk. They do nothing to help you. And that's why I'm running for U.S. Congress. Heerak Christian Kim, independent candidate for U.S. Congress in Virginia's 8th District, because both of the parties are so compromised. They're more interested in getting wealthy off of Chinese money than looking out for your interest, right? They're not interested in protecting your privacy. They're not interested in protecting your data from the Chinese Red Army. They're interested in making a buck. Yeah, that's what it has become. That's why you need me in Congress. You need Heerak Christian Kim to go to U.S. Congress to clean up the corruption that is rampant in Washington, D.C., in both parties, Democrats and Republicans. You need Heerak Christian Kim to go to U.S. Congress to clean everything up. All the swamp, all the corruption of the establishment in both parties. That's why you should vote for me on November 3rd, 2020, because our nation's future depends on you voting for Heerak Christian Kim. That's why you should vote for me. So I will go there, protect your interest of the United States of America. I will make sure that we are bulletproof from the Chinese Red Army. That none of our data goes to China ever, automatically just like storing everything. Yes, that's why you gotta vote for me. Heerak Christian Kim, independent candidate for U.S. Congress. It's for your own future, it's for your own safety, and it's for the survival of the United States of America as a nation. As a nation, we need to survive. That's why you need to vote for me. I'm Heerak Christian Kim, independent candidate for U.S. Congress in Virginia's 8th District. And I stand against TikTok and all the privacy that TikTok is invading. And look at this. Well, we give Chinese Red Army all the money we have. We give them all the information we have. Next thing we know, we're going to giving them our nation. Why should we do that? This is our nation. We need to protect it. The United States of America. That's why you need to vote for me, independent candidate for U.S. Congress in Virginia's 8th District. So on November 3rd, when you go to the ballot box, look for my name, Heerak Christian Kim, and you tick that box. I'm not Republican. I'm not Democrat. I'm independent. So vote for Heerak Christian Kim, independent candidate for U.S. Congress in Virginia's 8th District. I hope you enjoyed this anniversary show of COVID-19 update by Heerak. I will keep updating you, and I'm going to try to help you survive this COVID-19, you and your children and your family. So don't forget to check in and see this show every day because you need to in order to survive. And if you do get COVID, come to Virginia Hospital Center, where I'll be working in matter of days, and we'll take good care of you. You know, me and my team, me and my posse at Virginia Hospital Center. Yes, I look forward to seeing you there. And if you're a nursing student, apply to Virginia Hospital Center, especially if you look like that, like if you're that beautiful. I'm not married. I've never been married. So I'm hoping God will send me somebody beautiful, like Taylor Swift to marry. So, if you're a nurse who just graduated from nursing school, looking for a job, apply to Virginia Hospital Center if you're beautiful and look like, Taylor Swift. Anyway, if you get COVID, all seriousness, come to Virginia Hospital Center. We'll take care of you. You may even have me as your nurse. I'm very excited about working at Virginia Hospital Center. As a nurse to take care of you guys. As I said, I expect to get COVID. I'll be surprised if I don't get COVID, because I think most nurses are going to get COVID. If the question is, are you going to survive or not survive? I think that's the question. But if I get COVID, I believe God will protect me if He wants to. If He wants to bring me home, then He'll bring me home. I mean, I'm not going to worry about it. I'm a born again Christian. I mean, God expects me to take caution in respect for Him and His judgment that is promised in Romans chapter 1. And I do that. I show respect to God by being very careful. Whenever I'm outside, I wear a mask. I try not to go outside often if I don't have to. So I show God respect. He sees me showing Him respect. Because you know how things could get. If God thinks like you don't care about his judgment, he may give you COVID just to like punish you for not, you know, not treating COVID-19 seriously. But I am treating it seriously, so God sees that. And when I'm helping people at hospital, God knows that I have high chance of getting it. So if I get it, God knows it's not like I was like trying to get COVID. And so if God wants me to live, he's going to let me live. If God doesn't want me to live, he's not going to, at that time, the decision belongs to God. So there are several factors you have to consider in life, right? You have to live in fear of God because God said fear of the Lord is beginning of wisdom. That includes fearing God's judgment, like COVID-19. But as long as we're respecting God and God's judgment, you're not going to draw the wrath of God against you. God has an anger management problem. So if you don't treat his judgment seriously, God could take it out on you, You have examples of that in the Bible. I encourage you to read the Bible. How else are you going to know who God is? Or at least read the Bible, right? So anyway, So I'm hoping to I'm hoping to give you more information that will save you. And I'm expecting thousands of people in Virginia's atheists to die before Christmas from COVID. I think you too. I mean, anybody in logical, rational mind will say thousands of people in Virginia's atheists will die before Christmas. We already had like 2,000 die. And so at least 2,000 are going to die from now to Christmas, at least, right? I mean, 2,000 is in Virginia, that's true, but I mean, flu seasons are going to kill a lot of people, so we can have thousands in Virginia's 8th district alone. So I think, it's an expectable outcome. A lot of people are going to die. We're like right next to Washington, D.C. So there's a lot of movement there from all over the place. So I think it's rational and logical that there's going to be a lot of death in Arlington, Alexandria, Falls Church, and Fairfax County. And since now the COVID is targeting young people, now this time around we're going to have a lot of young people die. That's a rational thing to say. But at least Heerak Christian Kim is going to be working at Virginia Hospital Center to take care of you with Virginia Hospital Center team. So you're lucky about that, right? So God gives you little blessings like this to help you. So just think of Heerak Christian Kim as a gift of God to you. But anyway, it's good to see you today. Check back tomorrow. Make sure you watch the show every day to get information that is important for you to survive COVID-19. I guess I'll see you tomorrow. Stay well, and hope your children will stay well too. See you tomorrow. Bye.